Welcome to another episode. Jesus, fuck. Cut that. Ready?
Yep.
Welcome to another episode of the Bussin Spring Tour 2024. If you're a Tier 1 and joining us, you guys know what to do. Welcome to Florida State fans with open R's. If you're a Florida State fan just tuning in, make sure you're subscribed and leaving comments. What we do on the Spring Tour is we go to different stops. We just released the Nebraska interviews. Now we're doing Florida State. We're going to have Oregon and then Alabama. But what we need you to do is make sure you're subscribed, because we sit down, we interview a couple players and the head coach, talk to them about the previous year, the expectations of the upcoming year, because let's face it, when we're in the off season, we all have the best expectations. We've all won the national title, so the conversations are a lot more fun. You're about to watch Braden Fisk and Coach Norvell, head coach Norvell, and then tomorrow you will be watching Patrick Payton and DJ. I don't want to butcher your last name, but DJ, the quarterback that went from Clemson to Oregon State, and now his final stop at Florida State. Again, thank you so much for your support. If you're a Florida State fan, it's your first time tuning in, welcome to Bussin With The Boys. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're leaving comments. You can follow us at Bussin WTB. Enjoy this episode. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Solid? Coach Norvell, thank you for joining us. This is a pleasure. My first question, if you're in the college football playoff, do you guys win? And second question, two-part question, do you think Kirk Herbstreit would agree with your answer?
Last year's team was a special team, and I put nothing past what that team would have accomplished. I know there's a lot of adversity, obviously losing a quarterback, having to go through the things we went through, but defense wins championships. And, you look at that championship game and, it was a really explosive and quality Louisville team. And, our defense rose to the occasion. We did what was necessary. So I put nothing past what that team could have accomplished, but, also really proud of all the things they did accomplish. And, that's what, for the choices and all the things that were made, we couldn't control all of that, but they did what they needed to do for 13 weeks, and I'll forever believe that was one of the great teams in college football. One of the great teams in Florida State history, one of the great teams in college football history. You look back, how many teams had the opportunity to go 13-0 in today's age of college athletics, playing a very good schedule, and so I'm grateful for what they did, but put no boundaries to what they would have accomplished.
Can you take us to the day where the selection, the committee, they made their choices? You going into it, are you thinking like, you probably thought through all the different angles, we might not get in, we might get in?
No, I didn't think that, actually.
Well, you were, without a shadow of a doubt, we're getting chosen.
I was, ultimately that's what I believe. It had never happened before. In the history of college athletics, there's never been a Power 5 team that had went undefeated that did not get a chance to compete for a championship in today's age. And so, you sit there and you look at it. I believe do what you got to do, and it's all gonna play out. But obviously that was not the case.
Right.
Did they give you any explanation on why, or it was just this is what it is? We don't have to give you no reason why it happened, because around the world, we heard it was because y'all didn't have a starting quarterback. So
it's all TV stuff that we're hearing.
Yeah, what we hearing. So we heard, since they didn't have a starter quarterback, why put them in a national championship game without a star quarterback? That really.
No, it's obviously there's a group that was in a room, and they made a decision based off whatever those conversations were. What people saw on national TV from a selection show, that's what was real. And I found out when that logo came up, and it wasn't ours. And so, it is, like I said, it is what it is. There's nothing that can ever, and really no explanation is going to ever, impact what happened for us.
Right.
We had to live it. And, but just like I told the team after that happened, it doesn't take away from what that team accomplished. And did the circumstances affect, things moving forward, for that team? Yes. And, ultimately it was, it was a shame that we didn't get to finish out with a chance to compete for a national championship. But, I definitely, forever grateful for that team and the season that we did have.
So you think that's the decision why some of the players chose to go to the draft and not actually play in the Georgia game?
Absolutely. And I know you can have, for whatever people's beliefs are, I've told people that I think if we would have lost the ACC championship, we probably would have had I'm pretty certain we'd had a majority of those guys would have played based off, how to finish and to finish on right, because we would have earned the loss, and that's ultimately, when you look at this game, I mean, our guys, they put a lot into it, and when you see, I mean, it's we had a very talented team and a bunch of guys that are making a decision for their future, and in right, wrong, or indifferent, just the thought process is, we did everything that we could to put ourselves in position, and we were told that it wasn't good enough. And when guys are trying to make a decision on their future, that was probably the biggest challenge for me, and going back and forth with that and talking about options and things of choices of what guys were trying to make. It was difficult, and I still say it was the hardest month of my coaching career. From winning that championship, the way that we won it was probably one of those gratifying wins I've ever been a part of. But really only having 12 hours to celebrate that. And then, that next day, everything from that point was really heartbreak. I mean, to be honest, like it was right. A heartbreaking moment to have to go through and live through, and, to be there for your players that, gave so much, and, just that disappointment was difficult. And, you got guys that are making, their multi-million-dollar decisions on, if they go and they play and they get hurt, then what does that look like? Or, I mean, obviously dealing with the emotional and physical hurt of something happening to them that had never happened before. But, I also told them, I was like, my opinion, I didn't think it was right. I didn't think it was fair, or whatever all those words are. But also in life, there's going to be plenty of things that happen in their life that might not be right or might not be fair. So make sure that, as we work through that we stay true to who we are. And you really try to understand, that everything that you say, all that you do, it's going to have an impact. And it is, that was a special team, and it's one that is going to be celebrated, one that's going to be remembered. But, obviously I hate how it all finished. Through that.
How are you having those conversations? Because you're obviously going through the pain and the disappointment, just like the players are. But when they are making those decisions to either go to the draft or sit out for health reasons or whatever the case may be, versus when you were talking about if you were to lose the championship game, you earn that loss, and then you're excited to almost go prove people wrong or whatever the case may be. But going against a team like Georgia, how are you having those conversations about trying to have those guys motivated that, like, hey, we have another opportunity to still go out here and prove it against a team who's been number one. They just had a lull against Alabama. If we go out and beat this team, like, you're basically, not that you want to make fake rings or anything else, but you're out there able to kind of claim a title.
Yeah, I mean, it was a twofold challenge, because one, those conversations and, the opportunity and all those things that are out there, but also, the selection committee was at 12:15. By 4:30, I was in a home visit, because we had basically 2 weeks of recruiting. So a lot of the messaging, and that's where one of the things I reflect back to is, man, how could I have changed, to be there, even more, and to be able to support guys, and just such a, it is a once in a lifetime, because it'll never happen again. I mean, there might be teams that get left out and think they should be in or out, but they would have earned whatever loss is, whatever their record is. I mean, if you're fighting for 12, 13, whatever that number is going to be eventually, you still put yourself in that position. We had a team that felt that it had earned and played and done everything that was necessary to get, the shot at it. And so, but then having, going on the road, and we're fighting. We got 2 weeks of signing day, and you're fighting everything that you can fight for the class that's coming. And being able to, like I said, I didn't go into it with a contingency plan of, if we don't get in.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that was never part of my thought process, but. Being able to try to connect with guys when I'm on the road, and since some, we have our team communication and messaging, and so you tried to be able to communicate as much as possible, and our coaches did a great job of trying to touch base with that. But I mean, it made all the challenges even that much more magnified, just with how the schedule was. But it was, you had an opportunity, and to be honest with you, and really, like I said, everybody can have their own perspective of it. We had to live our reality to what it was, and there were guys that that felt that they put themselves in a position, and said, Coach, we can put ourselves at risk when it comes to their professional opportunities. You win that game, but what if that's still not good enough? And that was the balance of trying to work through that with guys. And we had some guys that played, and we had a good number of guys that did not. And it was a hard choice for them too. Like that's what everybody's saying. Oh, they're making. Man, they poured everything they had into this team. They put. I mean, you don't respond the way that you did when you think about week 11. We lose our starting quarterback, right? Going on the road, one of our biggest rivals, obviously in that game, to be able to, the resiliency, the response, the fight, I mean, all the things necessary. We go down with our third string quarterback there in the championship game. And to take all the steps that were necessary to win that game, and that was heart, that was character. It showed the culture of what we had here. And I mean, even throughout the course of the season, we had 4 games last year, we were down 10 points. And you saw a team that never got rattled. They just continued to respond, would continue to fight. But like I said, at the end of it, with that decision that was made, it was a difficult decision for the players. It was hard for the fan base, everybody. But it was also something that had never occurred before too. And so that's what made it. You were treading new waters when it came to that.
Yeah, I think it shocked everyone, and ultimately that's probably why it's 12 now. 12 teams are now going in because probably what happened to Florida State. Would you say?
Well, it was already going in motion.
I mean, it was going to go in motion, but then that falls. This
because this year it would have been I feel like it happens every year, but this year it's like you look across the board at like the top 10, 12 teams, and you're like, this would have been a great year for the playoff because, obviously you have an unfortunate situation like Florida State. You're trying to choose out of one loss, big, Pac-12 and Big Ten. But yeah, this would have been a great year for the playoff.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you had it was like Mizzou was making a little noise. They would squeak out some little wins to where it would have just been fun to see the college football playoff this year. Are you excited about the transition to the playoff, to the 12-team playoff?
I am, and I think that when you get a chance to go and compete, earn it on the field, get a chance to go fight for a championship, and the great thing about college football is every game does matter, and it doesn't matter where, when, but being able to. If you have a team that has either an early loss or have a team that you look at the Georgia team last year. I mean, I watched them all. Like that was probably the most talented group of any team that was in the country from last year's team, and they. For whatever reason, they came up short in their championship game, and that group, even a lot of the guys that are going to the NFL, that they wanted to finish together and leave on a good note, and so you saw that. But if you put that team in the playoff last year, if you put us in the playoff last year, I mean, you're talking about. There's gonna be a lot of fun games to watch, and and everybody has their own situations. I mean, fighting through injuries are a part of it. That's the part of the game. I mean, they don't stop a game in the middle of it if somebody goes down. It's about all the things we learned since we're kids and playing this game. How do you respond? Who's going to rise up? And that was what will forever be remembered when it comes to that team. Just the 13-week journey of all those situations and what they did. So, I think it'll be fun when you see 12 teams getting a chance to compete for that, because there's still going to be situations where somebody might be without a great player. Right, but if they've earned the right in, then you get to see what they do with it.
That's so true. I'm gonna move away from that because I'm a D2 guy. You're a D2 guy. Central Arkansas. I don't know if people on the team know that you play wide receiver. You still hold the record, I think, up there at Central Arkansas, right?
Zone coverage beater, man.
Yeah, but I think
he's first and fifth on the list.
Yeah, I think he had like 213 receptions, 2,611 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns. Correct?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah,
I know the 213. All the other stuff. Yeah, I know the 213.
So, like, is that what, pretty much led you to being a GA right out of Central Arkansas? You was just like, yo, I want to coach. did you not see yourself going to the NFL? What was the reason why you went straight to GA right out of college?
Yeah, so I've wanted to coach since I was in the 7th grade. This was my passion. I've never had an option B. This is what I've always wanted to do. Some of the most influential people in my life were my coaches, from my Pop Warner coach, David Reese. I mean, he still comes to our games nowadays. To, I was so blessed to have great high school coaches, college coaches. This was my path. This was my journey. Obviously every player has a dream of playing in the National Football League, right? I made the most of my college career. My senior year, it was unfortunate. I dealt with a lot of injuries. I had to have 2 surgeries right when the season was over. I had knee and shoulder surgery. I actually thought that my skill set would have probably been better in CFL or one of those other leagues. But when I had the injuries and I knew the rehab and all the things I kind of played through that senior year, I could chase the dream to continue to play, or I could follow the passion of what I wanted to be, for the long term. And so I immediately, I had the surgeries, was doing, jumped right into coaching. I got a chance to be a graduate assistant there my first year at UCA. And obviously had some doors open, there those next couple of years, and was able to follow the passion of being a coach, and been very fortunate for who I've been able to do it with.
Yeah, because you was at Arizona State, Pittsburgh, Tulsa,
yeah.
Memphis. That's where you got 3 AAC championships, correct?
Yeah, we had the three divisional championships, and then obviously the one ACC championship.
Okay, yeah. Man, so you accomplished a lot then to come to Florida State, change that program to be where y'all at now. Just tell us a little bit about that, leaving Memphis and then coming to Florida State.
Well, I loved my time at Memphis, and it was a great place, great opportunity. When I became the head coach there, I was the youngest head coach in Division I football at the time, and so blessed with opportunity. And we were able to do some wonderful things in that program, get some great players, and then when the chance came and presented itself to come to Florida State, it was truly a special one. And this was a program. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. I really didn't have any affiliations to a school, but the very first piece of college memorabilia I ever owned was a 1993 national championship license plate. And that was the only thing I actually had on my wall, and had, the great players, Derek Brooks, Warwick Dunn, Charlie Ward, their names are up all on this license plate. And it was something that, I was a Florida State fan, even not having a tie to the program, but it was really, when we were all coming up, it was just how they played. It was a mentality. It was just the place. And so, I love that. And, so much respect for Coach Bowden, just how he did it. The sustained success over all the years. You could bank on us. Florida State was going to be in the national title hunt. They were going to be in the conversation, all the great players. And so when the opportunity presented itself, the program had found, some challenging times. And, I had an absolute passion and desire to want to be a part of getting this program back to where it deserves to be. And it's been a great joy, being able to meet all the past players, be able to, establish the culture that we desire and continue to grow, and like I said, get this program back, in regards to not only what we're doing on the field, but also, how we represent it off the field. And that's something that's really important to us. And, I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the coaches, everybody involved. We got a wonderful administration. And so we're excited about continuing our climb to where we ultimately want to be.
Who are a couple mentors along your journey that you reflect on that's gotten you to this point of being the head coach of Florida State?
Yeah, I know it's funny, but I mentioned, my Pop Warner coach. I remember, I'd stay with, when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I'd stay with, with him a couple nights a week. He had 2 younger kids, of his own, but, he started pouring in and caring about, a young boy, more than a position, more than a jersey, and just really trying to show all the great things that the game of football really are about. Wonderful high school coaches. Mike Barber was my high school coach. Played in the NFL. Had somebody that had great success, and so I got that perspective of it. Going to college and having to you playing. I would say you playing the bus league. Man, you play D2. You get to find out real life who loves the game. And, obviously how we do it. Doubt. But had a great time there at Central Arkansas. And then, as I transitioned into the college coaching, and when I went to Tulsa, I got a chance to be under Gus Malzahn. He was the offensive coordinator. Todd Graham was the head coach, and just really being able to gain a lot from their perspective in program organization and, different things, schematically. Obviously Gus, has done wonderful jobs, wonderful job. He had great, success at high school ranks, and then what he was able to do in the college ranks has been really remarkable. But having those relationships and being able to learn ball from that, but also, be able to kind of develop your own perspective, your own belief, your own values of what, if you get the opportunity to lead a program or lead a side of ball or lead a position group, what do you want it to look like? And so that's been a big part for me. I remember, Todd Graham was, he was a head coach, but he was also, basically a defensive coordinator in most respects of it. And just our conversations, I learned more about what I wanted to do offensively just from sitting in with him of what he didn't like to face defensively. And so it was really, those conversations, those were huge in just my thought process, and I think helped give me a broad scope of understanding to a program. And, when I did get a chance to be a head coach, I tried to implement a lot of those things, but, stay true to who I am and what I believe.
When you're chasing those ambitions as becoming a head coach one day, are you collecting? Are you journaling? Are you writing things down? Like, how are you keeping some of these processes? Or, I really like this. I like this core value. I like this from this coach. I like this from this coach. Are you collecting all of this stuff so that way when one day you do have the shot, you're kind of trying to refer back to it?
Well, I like
just remembering it all?
I really, if I wish I would have, because there would probably be even some more detailed things that I wouldn't have had to, that I would have had maybe a little different perspective on as I made the transition. But, and I encourage our coaches, one thing I've always tried to do is regardless of what your job title is, prepare for what you want to be. And when I was a GA, I tried to prepare as if I was a position coach. Now, I had a job and a responsibility, and I wanted to be the best in the United States of America, whether it was getting a cup of coffee, whether it was breakdowns, whether it was whatever I had to do. I wanted that to be done at an elite level because that was my job. But also tried to prepare as if I was the position coach. And I think that perspective, because, as you go through and you're coming up in a profession, it can be football, it can be anything. Right? You never know when your opinion is going to be asked, right? But whatever that response to the question is, that's going to be impactful to what, somebody understands your perspective when they understand your knowledge. And so I always try to be prepared for the question. When I became a position coach, I tried to always prepare as if I was a coordinator, and I would run things through my mind as if I was already doing the job. When I became an offensive coordinator, I tried to prepare as if I was the head coach. And so I always tried to prepare as if I was the next job. And you still have to do yours. But, I even know when I was a GA, I would not do any of my GA work, right, that could be done for the next day. I would do that after everybody left because I didn't want to be out of the meeting room to miss out on the information. And, there was a lot, part of the first, 5 months of, working for Coach Malzahn, I don't know if he ever asked me a question. But during the middle of the season, I remember when he asked my opinion. And I thank God for all those meetings that I'd been in, the understanding I had of the offense, all that we were trying to accomplish. I actually gave him a response that was of value. And it's how you build and earn trust in your perspective and your knowledge because you're willing to be a part of it. If I would have just gone in and just done the GA work, I might have missed some of those opportunities. I might have missed that perspective and really the overall knowledge of what we were doing. So, I always try to challenge our young coaches and even older coaches. You're offensive coordinator, but you want to be a head coach, and to be honest with you, I didn't just have this dream. I want to be the head coach. And I remember there's a lot of things I didn't know if I'd even like about being a head coach. But when the right opportunity presented itself, it was the right fit. And now, obviously, I love all elements of my job that I didn't even know I would years back. But it's still preparing yourself for what could be ahead.
I love that.
And your peers see it. ACC Coach of the Year, Paul Bear Bryant Award, Bobby Dodd Award 2023. All your peers see it. Obviously, you put in the work. We see it on the field. So, I'm just thankful to be here to talk to you, just to watch what you have done to this program and also being a D2 guy and accomplish so much. Because I see myself doing that.
The bus league.
One day, maybe being a coach and accomplishing some stuff like you did. So.
Well, you sit there and you go through it, and everybody's got a different path. But for me, it's who you get to do it with. and you've been able to try to make that impact for others. And I've been fortunate. You talk about the Coach of the Year's award; those are staff awards, man. Those are for our players. Those are, I'm grateful. Obviously, when you have the title, a lot of attention goes to it, and I've got to make sure that I just continue to help and push us to the standard of what I know that we can accomplish and what we can do. But I'm grateful for who I get to do it with, and we've got a wonderful group, great players that buy in and allow us to coach them and to push them to that next level. And we're excited about where we're going, and definitely fortunate for the opportunity.
What are a couple things you don't like about the head coaching position?
What are a couple things that I
you say, like, as you were coming up, you're like, man, do I even want to be a head coach? Like, maybe when you're a coordinator, are there things about this job I might not like? Like, what might be a couple? A couple things that
I think,
or let's just say hypothetically, in a different world.
You sit there and you go through, like, coming up, and some of the budgetary decisions that have to be made. Because as a coach, you want everything for your players, right? I want to be able to help give them all the resources, everything they need. Well, the path that I've had coming up, you got to learn how to sometimes do more with less. And I'm grateful for some of those experiences, because now I get to prioritize what it's going to be. And there might be some flash things that maybe we didn't have, or we chose not to have, to be able to get things that made a difference. And for me, it's like being able to understand the identity of what we want a team to be, and then make sure everything along the way points to the identity. And as you come to a place like Florida State, and the resources, and as we've continued to grow and push over these last 4 years, I'm excited about the impact and the resources we've been able to provide for our players. But that was something that I didn't necessarily enjoy early, because when you have to choose not to do something because you just didn't have it in a budget, that's tough. But then it's also the things that I grew to love. All right, well, how can we work to get the things necessary to get the job done and provide our players with all that we can? And it is. But on the flip side of it, the thing that what I love about my job, and there's nothing like, every decision that I make, right, impacts so many. And it's the importance of every decision. So you don't get to any of the throwaway decisions. I'll never forget my first day on the being a head coach at Memphis. You sit there and there's no like script. Oh, here, you're head coach. Like, you have to go do it, right? It's your program, go. Right? And do the press conference. You'll get a chance to meet with the team, all those things. I'm feeling it. It's ready. It's rolling, right? I remember coming back to my office, and my administrative assistant, Sherry Schwartz, wonderful woman. I love her. Okay, she comes into my office, right, and she goes, Coach, what time do you want me coming to work tomorrow? Because the previous staff, I got to do this. And it's as simple of a question as you can imagine. But whatever response I gave her was going to impact her life. Her life. When she comes to work, when she leaves work, whatever the things that she's used to, whatever she needs, like that decision, in all honesty, at that moment, it's like, just make sure you show up. I don't care. But whatever I told her was going to be impactful for her life experience. And that's what I love. Because you get asked a million questions as a leader, but do you understand that even the smallest answer is going to have a monumental impact for those around you? And I love that, because every day, man, you have to be on it. You got to have a broad scope, the willingness to say no to certain things. Kind of like as we talked about with the budget, you got the willingness to say no that might not be pleasing to somebody in the moment, but it's better for the big picture of it. Those are the fun experiences that you get to, because I've made plenty of mistakes and decisions, and you learn from those, you get better from those, and it's just that's what I do love about the job in general.
That's awesome. You aspire to be in the NFL, NFL head coach one day?
You never know. Never say never. But I do love the opportunity I get to impact 18 to 22-year-olds in this time of their life, to be able to help build and facilitate habits that are going to help them be successful there at the next level. I love the relationship aspect of it. The first time guys have to leave home and they're not going to see their parents every day, or their loved one, their guardian, whoever that might be. Helping build them in that moment is critical. And I get so much enjoyment out of that. You get to be a true difference maker for them. To say that I'd never have any aspirations, and I'm not going to say that would never be the case, but right now, I absolutely love getting to do what I do, and I can't see doing anything else.
You got anything else for Coach?
No, he crushed it.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
Well, I appreciate you guys being here. It's a wonderful place, and enjoy the visit and go Noles.
What game would you recommend us to come to this year?
There's nothing like the last one we're gonna have. The last regular season game here is gonna be pretty live. I can promise you that.
Okay. All right. You might have to come to that one.
Definitely.
Coach, thank you, man.
All right, y'all have a great one.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Appreciate you.
Can we take a photo? Get you
Absolutely.